same. You can reach us via multiple means on our WhatsApp 0500,000 202. Alternatively, you can reach us on our socials. We're streaming live on Facebook. Unfortunately, we can't pick calls today as well. Our technicians are still working very hard to ensure that our phone lines are very, very, very active. We can't pick calls today as well. This morning, I want to focus on two major issues. One is on the front page of the Daily Graphic. So if you've had a copy of the Daily Graphic today, you would see the story. I saw the story on a graphic online platform last night, and this morning I see that story is also on the front page of the Daily Graphic. If you've seen it, you see this headline: stroke rises among men aged 30 to 49. Stroke rises among men aged 30 to 49. I'm just going to be reading a few excerpts and then I'll take this from there. Why stroke is rising here in Ghana for people between 30 and 49. 30 to the 49 year group. When we were relatively young, but even before I go into that, let me just read this portion. The country has recorded rising levels of stroke cases in the last 3 years, with the numbers going up in thousands per 100,000 members of the population. A public health physician and health systems researcher of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Mavis Sechi, who disclosed this in Accra on Monday, August 24th, said is almost 48% of the stroke cases were in men from 30 to 49, and the story goes on and on. In fact, when I saw this yesterday, I cringed, and I cringed for a reason. I asked myself why this is happening. You know, on Wednesdays, we like to do health on this platform. And I was like, this is something I really want to put out. The question is why? When I was relatively younger, when you heard someone had suffered a stroke, the person was relatively aged, in their 70s, in their 80s. Of course, at that time, you're a kid, and you probably do not understand these things that much. But many years down the line, when you've had an opportunity to go through school and understand what could possibly be the cause with respect to that, then you appreciate these things even better. What you do, to a very large extent, has an impact on these things. So I was trying to get some information as to what is causing this rise, or what is causing this surge, and what you and I can do to ensure that we are very far away from this. And I came across this material. In Ghana and globally, stroke in young adults has more than doubled since 2019. Not because of age, and I want you to pay particular attention to this. Not because of age, but lifestyle. And there were 5 pointers that I saw, and I'm going to share them. 1, unchecked hypertension. Many 30s don't check BP until they suffer a stroke. 2, stress plus poor sleep plus sitting all day. 3, heavy, salty, fried late dinners, sugary drinks, alcohol. 4, no exercise. It's all about cars, sitting at your desk, and spending as much time on the phone. And 5, smoking and shisha. When I came across this material, I was asking myself, how do these play in? This is not the first time I've discussed something to do with this on this platform. I remember I mentioned this a couple of months ago on this platform. And incidentally, it's come up very strongly again. If I look through all the 5, you'll be surprised that even people with the highest level of education, until they are sick, they barely check their blood pressure. It is only when they find themselves in hospital that they would have to go through the process of their vitals being checked. So people are living with high blood pressure for years, and they themselves do not have an idea that their pressure is rising, because these things do not show any outward signs that you may see. Before I came on air this morning, I engaged a doctor friend of mine, and one of the things that he mentioned was the fact that you would barely see anything, for starters, when your pressure is rising, until something goes horribly wrong, or until you yourself, you notice some changes within your body, and then you decide on your own volition that I want to go to the hospital. I think something is amiss with me. And then when you go and it's quickly identified, then a solution may be planned for you. If it is something to do with the kind of food you're eating, then that will be looked at. But if you've gotten to a certain point, then you may be put on medication. Chances are that you may even be put on medication for life, depending on a number of reasons. So he mentioned all of these things that I have mentioned. And one of the things that he advised, and I hope that you listening to me, if you can, and I don't even want to say if you can, because you should be able to. One of the things he told me this morning was that he's advised as many of his patients not to wait till they get to hospital before their vitals are checked. Gone are the days where you could only find these things in the hospital. Today, when you go to a lot of these pharmacy shops, they sell the machine that is used to check your stats. In a week, if you can check it at least a reasonable number of times, just to know where you are, it helps, because you may not likely see any sign physically outward that will tell you that your pressure is going up, and it could come with consequences. He said if you have about 300 CDs, 250 Ghana CD, about 400 Ghana CD, you should be able to get one. And it is not something you're going to be checking 10 times a day. 2-3 times a week is fine. So you can use a machine for a very long time. And when you're done, the moment you are done checking, you take the batteries out. You don't keep the batteries in the machine. So if it's something you're keeping in a very good place, you can keep it for a very long time, especially when you've gone beyond 30. And I saw this in this report. Then he also mentioned the fact that the young man or the young man today, there's absolutely nothing wrong with chasing your dreams. There's absolutely nothing wrong looking for money. But there appears to be a very big emphasis on acquiring the world. These were his words, acquiring the world. We want everything. But I remember he said again, it's absolutely not wrong to desire a thing or two and working hard to desire a thing or two. But it shouldn't be at the expense of your life. Sleep when you have to sleep. Rest when you have to rest. If you can afford every now and then, go for a vacation. If you can afford every now and then, when you realize that your body is reaching a breaking point, take a leave. Get some rest. Because a lot of us are involved in jobs that are really hitting us hard as far as that is concerned. So he cited this example. You happen to live, let's say, somewhere on my stretch. Your office is at Accra Central. If you wake up at 7 o'clock, you bet you're going to be fired in no time, because you're going to be getting to work late because of the traffic experience that you're facing. So a lot of us on that stretch, we are waking up around 4:30. Meanwhile, our work is starting at 8 or 8:30, but because of traffic, we don't want to be late. We close around 5. And for some of us who work in banks and stuff like that, closing at 5 doesn't mean you are walking out of the office. Sometimes you are staying to balance. So in staying to balance, you end up leaving the office around 7:38 and getting home maybe after 9. You get home and you also want to eat fufu. And the moment you are done with the fufu, you are going to bed at 10. And by 3:34 the following morning, you are awake. And you are doing that sometimes Monday to Saturday. And you are barely taking a rest. Take a rest if you can. because it would save you. Then he mentioned a point about sitting for very long hours, including what I do here. Come and sit for 4 hours. Some of you sit for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Every now and then, just walk around the office. Just walk around. You don't have to walk from Accra to Kanishi so that everybody will see that you are walking. Even within the premises of your office, walk to the junction from where your office is located. Konebra. After every 1 hour, 2 hours, if your job would allow, just take that little walk. And it can do a lot for you. Then he was very, very heavy about food. The kinds of foods that we are eating today is causing us a lot of problems. And we have absolutely no idea that these things are causing us a lot of problems. Salt is good. Even when a baby is being named, in my part of the world, we will do sugar and salt for you, the day old baby who doesn't even understand anything during the naming process. But some of you, then you load the food with a lot of salt.